You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
It's the lead play in our offense. Yes, a YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us, 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Jacob up in Wisconsin as well. Carly was on with us, and she's already fed up. She's out of here, so she may come. We'll see. But so, first of all, you guys did an awesome job last night. We got to catch the second half of the show on the way home, so kudos to that. Thought the mock was interesting too. Did you guys get a screen grab of it by chance?
Yeah, I sent it in the Twitter group. I don't know if you got it. It should be in your direct message. But yeah, we screenshotted it. We got a B.
Gotcha. There you
Straight
go.
B's. They call me Buzz. You know,
better than I did in school. I promise you that, man. They were. My report card said "get out." That's what mine said at the end of the year. So let's do this. We got Carly back in here now. Good stuff. Tim, I see you got the mock pulled up. We're gonna have several things we're gonna get around to here. I want to give a shout out to M. Smitty first of all. You guys heard us talking about Draft Day the other night, right? The movie Draft Day, and we were kind of drawing some parallels. And I know some people think it's cringe, this and that. And I had mentioned, they got like pretty much all the bases covered on what the draft rooms potentially look like, kind of some of the stuff that the teams are faced with on draft day, all that, the last second maneuvering of the boards and everything. I mentioned the capologist, right, which was played by Jennifer Garner. And I said, hey, Jennifer Garner's character, imagine that's kind of the Russ Ball character with the Green Bay Packers, right? He's that capologist jumping through the hoops. Well, M. Smitty, of course, sent me this. So just a phenomenal Photoshop here. You love how he blends the skin pigment together too, right? So it doesn't look fake. Just absolutely crush it. So Smitty, we appreciate that, buddy. Definitely. Always doing quality work here on the show. Unbelievable. It was kind of terrifying, to be honest with you, Jacob.
That's a little more shocking than the finger, to be honest.
That remind you back in your clubbing days when you were younger, or no?
Yeah, I had some days. You guys would not believe some of the moves I used to do back in old Nashville.
There's a couple ladies in Nashville that look like, I'm just saying.
Yep.
Get a sip on that.
Hi, I'm Date Mike. Nice to meet me.
Let's do this. Let's talk about some news here. First of all, Easton Butler tweeted this out earlier today, said the Packers are hosting UTEP quarterback Gavin Hardison on a top 30 visit. So that's, Tim, that's queued up for you there if you want to go ahead and hit the Snoop drop there. We need that. I said Gavin Hardison, UTEP. Let me see if I can find him on my board. Don't really. Where is he? Is he in the basement? Who is this guy? Yeah.
Who?
Exactly. We actually worked him into the board here. And Gavin Hardison, if I can find him real quick, I sorted it earlier and did some last-second adjusting. And just trying to see, all right, what did the Packers potentially see in a Gavin Hardison, and why do they want to visit with him? Where is he projected to go? All that stuff, right? And when I pulled him up earlier, let me get it back on the screen here. I've got him in the 227 spot. Okay, he was the 164th graded quarterback in 2022. He jumped to 141 in 2023, and on the consensus big board back in January, he was 214th, okay? And he did not make the final cut on the 33rd team. RAS was like a 2 or a 3, so he's definitely more of those pocket passing type quarterback. One of those guys they may take I don't think they'll take a late round flyer on him, to be honest with you. I think it'll be more along the lines of a potential undrafted free agent. But just another one to add to this long list here of top 30 visits for the Packers. Just to run through those real quick for those of you who are listening, making us a part of your day here. They have now had top 30 visits with running back Ray Davis from Kentucky, wide receiver Jermaine Burton from Alabama, offensive lineman Zach Zinter from Michigan, offensive tackle Tyler Gotton from Oklahoma, offensive tackle Amarius Mims from Georgia, offensive tackle Donovan Jennings from USF, offensive lineman Giovanni Manu. I think he also goes as Werner Manu from British Columbia. You've got cornerbacks Kool-Aid McKinstry from Bama, cornerback Jerry and Jones from FSU, cornerback Jaquan Shepard from Maryland, cornerback Omar Brown from Nebraska, cornerback Chris Edmonds from Arizona State, and then officially in the safety position, Akeem Dent from Florida State, and Keaton, is that right? Keaton Oladapo or Oladapo from Oregon State. We cover all of the pronunciations here, ladies and gentlemen. Linebacker Tyrone Hopper from Missouri. You got linebacker Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M. Linebacker Trayvon Wallace from Kentucky. Edge defender Austin Booker from Kansas. Edge defender Marshawn Nealon from Western Michigan. Defensive lineman Michael Hall from Ohio State. And defensive tackle Mason Smith from LSU. And then last but surely not least, defensive tackle Christian Boyd. Obviously, he is our man Eric Sutherland's draft crush here. So there you go. Josh in the chat says, I kind of want to draft a quarterback so Clayton can get that neck tag. LOL. Now, understand, it's not about just draft. See, now it's already – you see how this changed him? Now, all of a sudden, if the Packers draft a quarterback, Clayton's getting a neck tag.
That was the bet.
Yeah, that's exactly what the bet is. So the bet is, just to clarify, ladies and gentlemen, if the Packers trade up in the first round and draft a quarterback with that pick, not if they trade up and get a corner and then they draft a quarterback later, right? They trade up in the first round and get a quarterback. Clayton is going to be getting a neck tag. So
just to be clear, they could take a pick. They could take a cornerback at 25 and then trade back into the first round, and that still counts. If they take a quarterback, right?
I swear this is. I feel like I'm talking to Congress right now. Let me try this again.
We're going to need this drafted and notarized prior to draft day.
You have to trade up in the first round, and with that pick, take a quarterback. You got me, Jacob. And what are you doing if they don't do that?
Okay, I can't remember.
No, I can't either, to be honest with you. I thought you were going to shave your beard. Is that not true?
Oh yeah, darn.
If they don't trade up in the first and take a quarterback, Jacob,
I just get another tattoo somewhere. I don't care. Yeah, here. I'll get a Nard dog somewhere.
It's like Andy with his Nard dog tattoo. Absolutely, man.
Wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
That's what you got to tell the ink artist when you sit down in that chair. Hey, man, wash your hands, wash your butt before you get the grinding on my neck here. But yeah, small neck tat if they bring in an undrafted free agent quarterback. No, sir, no deal. That's the M40, no deal. So let's see. We got the top 30 visits in. Obviously, we got that taken care of. Hardison being one of those top 30 visits. You guys got anything to add to that, Jacob? You know anything on Hardison? You got a social security number, anything like that, home address?
No, man. I'm not looking at quarterbacks. I still think that we got something pretty special with Clifford. I don't know why they would have wasted it. Wasn't it a 5th round pick on him if they didn't see us at least having him as the clipboard hero for a couple seasons? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually have that question too. I was thinking about that today. Like, why would they waste a pick? It feels like it would be a waste just with the quarterbacks that are there. Like, why, with having gotten Clifford and he seems to be a decent backup, why would you really want to have anyone to compete and waste a late round pick when Goody's been so good at getting really talented people that have contributed quickly at those late picks?
Yeah. I think the answer, and I could be wrong, but the first thing that comes to mind for me, and Jason Wilde and Mark Tauscher had this conversation the other day. It got pretty heated. It was actually comical. But anytime Wilde asks a question, he doesn't like Tauscher's answer. He asks the question about 6 different ways until he pisses Tauscher off, and then they end up arguing. It's just hilarious. It's great radio, I promise you that. But I think the answer there, Carly, is you're taking one of those late round flyers, because if you hit on one, then you've got a solid backup and someone you can develop and flip a pick. You'll have them on your roster for the next 3 years, and you can flip that pick, right? Or maybe 2 years before someone offers and says, hey, look, say you take someone in the 6th round, right? And all of a sudden Jordan Love goes down for a short stint, say in year 2 of that quarterback, and he comes in and just plays lights out, and everybody's just raving over him. You could turn that 6th-round pick into a 3rd-round pick or something, right? There's a potential for that. I think that's kind of the thought process, but I'm with you on the surface. Of course, Sean Clifford last year was projected to be an undrafted free agent. We took him, what was it, Tim, in the 5th round? Am I thinking right?
I think so. I think he was 5th.
So people, they're always looking to take a chance on, and that's what Mark Tauscher was saying, was like someone with a high ceiling, right? Someone with a high ceiling. And that's why one of the quarterbacks that popped up to me the other day was, I can't remember his name. I worked him up here on my board. I can't believe we're talking quarterbacks. We're going to get so much hate email for this, but in the draft here, I'm trying to remember his name, but it was someone who just had an RAS through the roof, extremely mobile, just played for a much smaller school. Do you remember who it was, Jacob? I'm going to come through here and see if I can.
Who are you talking about? Sorry.
Quarterback from a small school that we worked into our board the other day that I said he met all the criteria.
Oh,
name.
Yeah.
It's already.
Who?
Yeah, I can't find him right off the bat, but it was someone we worked in, and I was like, dang, dude, because his PFF grades were like through the freaking roof, but he played for a small school. Someone like that kind of piques my interest a little bit, but nonetheless, we'll see. Like I said, they may take a late round flyer on a quarterback. I kind of hope they don't, like Carly's saying. But again, if they've got someone that they think, all right, nobody's on this dude, and we could potentially flip him for a pick or have a solid backup. Yeah. Right here, look at John in the chat. Says Sam Hartman will be Packers Mr. Irrelevant. They actually mentioned him the other day. And you guys know he's got the best hair in the draft, right? Have you guys seen, you may not have seen it, but it was all over social media for some time, that prank where they got the guy that's like licking the ice cream cone, like all seductively in front of people in the mall, and everybody's freaking out because they're just like, he'll do it to men, he'll do it to women, and the men freak out, like, get away from me, dude. And the women are kind of like eating it up, Sam Hartman's twin, I'm telling you, bro. Dude looks like a male model. That's Sam Hartman for you, bro. Get some better looks in here, Tim. That's what the locker room needs, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Has he got that Mel Kiper hair?
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way?
He ain't got that Mel Kiper hair, but that's a good thing because, Mel Kiper got the widow's peak crank. Well, I'm on my way too, as you guys can see, but we're getting there. So I know the Packers were back to work, and as I put on some of the screen grabs here, the boys are back in town. First of all, Sam Hartman, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but the dude's going to be filing for Social Security real soon. He's that old. He's like a 9th-year senior or whatever in college. He drug it out. I don't think he'll be on the Packers' radar, although I think he would probably make a solid backup for other people. But, again, the Packers are back at work. They posted a video. They put a little montage together of the game here on Packers.com. Let's check this video out real quick.
We back. Let's get it.
Can't wait to get after it.
Day one.
Just stay tuned.
Hey, day one, y'all boy. Let's get started. Let's do everything the right way and go hard, y'all. Let's do it. Hey, family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey.
How are you not fired up right now?
We're getting closer, man. We are.
You guys know where the weight room is? All right.
Just here to tell you, Pack is back.
There was one scene there too. I'm pretty sure that was Dontavian Wicks there toward the backside of that video. I had heard somewhere that he wasn't there for day one, but obviously he was in the video. So, Jacob, have you heard anything about Tay Wicks not being at OTAs?
I haven't. I know that when they did that first, when they did the walkthrough asking if they're, glad to be back or whatever, I didn't see him in that video, but I'm pretty sure I saw him in that one just now, like you said. So I don't know. Maybe he was just, dragging behind or something, or had a little bit of a traveling issue or something. But I don't know. All in all, they just look happy to be there. They look in good spirits. A lot of them look really jacked for being the off season. Jacobs looks like a thick gentleman.
Yes, sir. Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, man. That's what we're looking for. The running back.
Yeah.
Get him and A.J. Dillon cranked up there in December when it's nice and cold and those defenders don't want to pop those pads at Lambeau. That's what I'm looking for. Tim, if you'll share that screen again with the draft, I'd like to check that out, buddy, for sure.
Okay.
If you don't care, get that back up there for us because I want to see what you guys did. Because did you guys trade back? Is that what it was, Tim? Am I thinking right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Tell me about it, man. Y'all sell me on this draft real quick. Obviously, y'all were the ones who performed this. Tim, you can lead the way. Jacob, chime in. Whatever you want to do here, bud. Talk to me.
Yeah, so we traded back in the first round with Arizona. Picked up the 25th pick, or went from 25 to 27, and we took Kool-Aid, right, Jacob? That was just basically best available. I think we decided at the time.
We did a crazy exercise because we wanted to be able to stay in the first round but see who was still available. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we have Kool-Aid? We had JPJ, we had Peyton, we had a bunch of people that we all really liked, but the best on the board was Kool-Aid, and that was definitely a big need. We talked about how we wanted to go cornerback first, so definitely went Kool-Aid. Yeah,
for sure.
No, so Kool-Aid McKinstry, you guys took with the 27th pick. He is 19 on my board. Absolutely love it. Carry on.
Yeah, and then we figured we better focus on that O-line, which is another position group that we were kind of surprised that we had some O-line available, after the first round there. But, something we have to be aware of early in this draft. So we went with Jordan Morgan, the tackle out of Arizona. I believe we took him, Jacob, because he had we checked his numbers. He had some snaps at guard as well.
Yeah. And there's some projections that he might be a better guard than a tackle, but at worst case scenario, he graded out really well in the pass blocking stuff too. So we felt like we could, worst case, try to throw him at right tackle, and if not, kick him into guard. So that was our justification there. But yeah.
So you took Jordan Morgan with the 41st pick. He is sitting at 35 on my board. 11th best tackle in 2022. 11th best tackle in 2023. He finished 33rd on the consensus big board back in January. So right in that wheelhouse for sure as being a good pick. Let's see. The 33rd team has him in the 94 spot, so they're a little lower on him. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 31 spot on his top 50. Obviously scored a 9+ RAS. Isn't a perfect threshold fit for the Packers. But, guys, when we talk thresholds, understand, we're not saying, well, they'll never draft him because he's not a threshold. That is not true. People who say that is simply not true. The Packers have taken plenty of players that didn't meet that perfect criteria threshold. It's just simply pointing out that, hey, look, here is kind of what they're aiming for, right? So if you get 2 or 3 prospects that are in the same tier of talent on your horizontal board, and lo and behold, one of those 3 meet the threshold perfectly, probably going to lean toward them taking that guy if their board looks like ours, which we know it doesn't, but we're always going to build a board just to be a part of the party. So, again, I think that's a solid pick, man. I got him at 35. You guys got him at 41. That's awesome. Go ahead, carry on. Junior Colson next.
Yeah, 58th pick in round 2. We took Junior Colson, linebacker out of Michigan. That was one we kind of went back and forth on. I think Jacob, were we between him and were we looking at Edrin Cooper or somebody?
Yeah, so Cooper was best available right there, but we had to make a decision because we had to jump from 58 to 88. And Junior Colson, I think, was rated like somewhere in the low 70s, like 71. So we were pretty sure we weren't going to get him. And there was a big jump from him next to another one. And our justification was, if he is the only Mike or the best Mike, we want to get him now and not risk it.
Right. Yeah, so we took Junior Colson at 58 there. I like that pick. PFF didn't like it, but
they never do. Yeah. Yeah, they never do because they're not very big on him, right? And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like everyone's got their favorite picks of websites. Some people like PFF's draft coverage. Some people like 33rd team. Some people like the consensus big board, all that stuff, right? That's why when I build my board, I try to include everything. So I kind of got a quick reference on here's where this is before everybody went absolutely nuts with the underwear Olympics. So Junior Colson, again, you guys got him at 58. I've got him in the 51 spot. 2022, he was 142nd graded linebacker. Not that good, bub, right? But in 2023, he jumped to 52nd. Consensus big board back in January had him at 85th. And then the 33rd team, though, has him in the 35th spot. And then, of course, Daniel Jeremiah had him at 45 in his top 50 back before the combine. So obviously we have an incomplete RAS on him, but he's hands down my best linebacker in this draft. I got him in the 51 spot again. You guys got him at 58. That is really, really good value there. I mean, I know you guys didn't have access to my board either. It's not like you use my board, and these are lining up absolutely perfect, man.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
We all have smartphones, and we all know they're pretty amazing, but they also can be amazingly distracting, especially when we're around other people. So US Cellular wants us to reset our relationship with our phones by putting down our phones for $5. That's right, a company that sells phones wants us to put down our phones. And to see what we find, learn more at uscellular.com/built for us.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
We moved on in round 3 with the 88th pick. Now I see Bates here on the screen too. He said it last night. Love picking up the 90th to give us 88, 90, and 91. Sweet spot in the draft to have 3 picks. Yeah, that worked out really well. Me and Jacob talked about that before we traded back, where we were able to get. I think we were trying to get like, what was it, Jacob? 71 or 77th pick. We ended up getting We ended up getting 90, which is not bad. So to kick off that little 3-pick set here, we went with your boy, sweet baby Ray Davis,
my man,
the halfback out of Kentucky, the Wildcat. A little bit earlier than I anticipated drafting a running back, at least me personally. But this draft kind of shaped up that way, and he really was like, I don't know if he was best available, but he was at the top, right, Jacob, at that point?
Yeah, he was the best available at the time, and then there was a couple of the running backs right below him. And if you remember, we decided to take him at 88 because the Buccaneers were after us at 89, and they saw that their biggest need was running back according to PFF. So we saw that there was a couple of running backs there. We liked Ray Davis the best, and then there was a bunch of other guys that we were cool with. So being that we had 3 of the 4 upcoming picks, we decided to snag them.
Yeah, there you go. So you guys got sweet baby Ray Davis at 88. I've got him at 97 on my board, so right there in the wheelhouse. A little bit of a reach, but could possibly be in the best tier of talent if the board fell just right. He was the 73rd graded halfback in 2022, according to PFF. He was 31st in 2023, took a huge leap. The consensus big board had him in the 112 spot back in January. And the 33rd team has him at 129. He scored a 7+ on the RAS, if I remember correctly. It's important to keep in mind he's a top 30 visit, and he was also a Senior Bowl participant. And we know the Packers have drafted a significant amount of Senior Bowl guys here lately, and the fact that they're spending a top 30 visit on him shows you there's at least enough interest. It's one of two things. Hey, we're really interested in him, and we want to sit down and get his mentals together, or it's we're not that high on him, but he's kind of on the cusp of getting pushed down on our board. Let's get that info and possibly push him down the board. It could be either way, right? So it's not a slam dunk that if you do a top 30 visit, hey, they're really interested in him. I know shouldn't even say it, but Twitter is just like, this time of year, if you get into trying to dissect how the draft works, well, you're a moron. You're wasting your time. If you don't do it, well, you're a moron. What are you doing? You should be – it's like I'm just so sick of the gatekeeping, man. And it's always the people that complain about folks that like to spend a little extra time and try to understand the draft. Like Jacob – not Jacob, he ain't complaining, but Jacob likes to look for late round gems, right? That's his thing. Am I right, Jacob? You love digging through late in the draft and trying to find those late round gems, correct?
Yes.
That's how he likes to fan, right? Tim, This is the first year you've probably gotten into the draft a little bit more, is it not? Being a part of the show and everything. So
absolutely,
you see how you can get some of the hype, right? Because you're starting to understand some of the prospects, how the draft board lays, right? It's fun.
Yep.
It's a cool way to fan. Carly, I'm sure this is the most she's kept up with the draft, right? This year.
It sure is, but I gotta say, I was listening last night, and I hear Jacob go, "Man, I hate this draft," and then like 15 minutes later, he's like, "Man, I love this draft."
But again, it's exercises to kind of help you understand, all right, how's the board laying? Where are the rumors at? Where did, we got like 6 different websites built into a draft board so we can have quick reference of here's the varying opinions, right? One side you could say, okay, they're, a little bit lower here. This side, they're a little higher there. And then you got the people that just think they're God's gift to Packer fans. And they're going to tell people you're wasting your time doing that. Shut up. Nobody cares. You're not as important as you think you are. Right. I get so sick of the gatekeeping, man. We don't care. Fan how you want to fan and tell those people to piss off. Like, it just drives me insane. So I just had to say that because I'm looking on Twitter today. It's just everybody's arguing over what matters and what doesn't matter. Why do you care what someone else is interested in learning? I never understood that, man. But anyway, Cooper Beebe, that 90th pick. I'm getting excited about this draft, man. I ain't gonna lie. Every one of these names, I'm going, it's a good pick.
This one was pretty quick, right, Jacob? I mean, this was like a no-brainer. Yeah. He was on the board at 90. We just grabbed him automatically.
Yeah. We wanted to solidify the interior because depending on whatever Morgan can or can't do, I thought that Beebe was a plug and play right guard, like first day, just aggressive and mean and just ankle biter. I want that kneecap biter.
Absolutely.
All right. So you got Cooper Beebe at the number 90 spot. If they were to draft Cooper Beebe at 90, you're going to see me I might get a neck tat live on I'm not saying that. I've got Cooper Beebe in the 36th spot on my board. Now, how did he get there? He was a guard, obviously, right, in college. He has tackle experience, which is interesting, right, because the Packers really like that as far as some of their thresholds. In 2022, he was the 12th highest graded guard. In 2023, he was the 3rd highest graded guard, according to PFF. He finished in January, he was 59 on the big board. So still, 31 spots higher on the higher on the big board, I should say. Yeah, better on the big board, better net gain there that you guys got him at 90. And then the 33rd team has him in the 71 spot. So 20 picks better than the 33rd team had him, which is absolutely awesome, right? RAS of 9+, and he meets the maximum threshold requirements or whatever you want to say, the thresholds that the Packers are interested in an interior offensive lineman. He met all of those to the maximum level, right? So, again, 36 on my board. You guys got him at 90. It's a phenomenal draft, dude. Absolutely awesome. And then you said, you know what? Go ahead.
Now, Professor Cake's just wondering why you keep taking shots at neck tats, Clayton.
I don't know, Professor Cakes. Somebody on here got a neck tat or something?
I do.
You guys know why we're taking shots at neck tats. I'm not anti-tattoo, by the way. I've got tattoos. I just keep them covered up until the Packers trade up in the first round. Then we celebrate. You know what I'm saying?
Giggity.
Not those kind of tats there, Quagmire. All right. Yeah. So let's see here in the 3rd round with the 91st pick. Who'd you guys go with, Tim?
This was interesting. We kind of went back and forth. We know we wanted to go safety here. Tyler Nubin was off the board. We tried to get him, Clayton. Just didn't work out. He got snatched up. And then we were it was between, I think we were looking at Cole Bishop. We were looking at Malik Mustafa, I believe. And we were also looking at DTD as well. Right, Jacob? Were those the 3 that we were kind of looking at that point?
It was, yeah. And that was one of the things that we had to make that decision from 58 to 88, whether or not we wanted to pick Colson. Well, also in that gap, we lost most of the safeties. Kitchens was still available. We had, remember, the guy from USC, Bullock.
Yep.
And we had one other guy went too. So we tried to get, not really. we at that point we're like, well, Cole Bishop keeps getting mocked like he is the perfect fit for this scenario, and I think at that point we kind of needed to address safety because we then had to go another 30-some picks before, and we couldn't just cross our fingers and hope that Oladapo would be there. So I feel comfortable about it now, though, especially the fact that we triple dipped, and all three of them I really like their potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Cole Bishop is a fascinating prospect to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Like, when I put him on my board, he finishes 153 on my board. Okay. And that's even with quite a bit of a bonus from Greg Cosell. But here's how he finished in the 153 spot for me. 139th graded safety in 2022, according to PFF. He dropped all the way to 529th in 2023. But the consensus big board back in January had him in the 97 spot. 33rd team has him at 74. So that brings him way up on my board. He scored a 9+ on RAS. Greg Cosell absolutely loves Cole Bishop. He thinks he can play everything. He can play split safety. He can play post safety. He can play in the box. He can play a little slot. He's just got unbelievable traits. He's one of those high ceiling type players. Like, he raved over him. He got the highest bonus of any prospect on my board from Greg Cosell, just absolutely gushing over this dude. So this is, again, why I like my board, is because I can look and go, all right, you guys took Cole Bishop at 91. He's 153rd on my board. Why is that not matching up? I've got a perfect explanation of why it isn't matching up, you know? And now you got to go, okay, what do we trust more? Do we trust the 33rd team over how PFF uses their grading system? Do we look at the consensus big board and say, okay, he was in the 97 spot. That's right there in the wheelhouse, right? So if I were to look at this and go, okay, which one would I be in favor of it or not based off of how the board's built? It's basically the 2023 PFF grade versus the consensus big board and the 33rd team, who are both on your all side on this pick. Plus the RAS is through the roof. Plus Greg Cosell absolutely raved over him. So it's hard for me to disagree with the pick just because PFF disagreed as far as the grading goes. That makes sense? So it's important to kind of put things into perspective. And honestly, the real answer probably lies somewhere in between. You know, the fact that he's sitting 153 on my board and the others he would average out about 80, he probably needs to be somewhere in the 120 range. You know, we may see that. There's just so much buzz around Cole Bishop this draft season that I think he's going to come off the board fairly early. As far as the scouting report, just notes I've got on him, he can play every safety position. He's got high FBI, which is football intelligence, of course, and they talked about how he was an excellent communicator on the back end. So I think Cole Bishop will go way higher than my 153, but I'm going to stay true to my board and keep him where I've got him because that's messed me up in the past. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Maybe the Packers will try to go out and grab him for sure. To the best of my knowledge, though, he has not been a top 30 visit, obviously. He did play in the Senior Bowl, and we know the Packers love their Senior Bowl guys. So there you go. All right, carry on, sir.
Jacob, you want to take us home from 126?
Sure. Mekhi Wingo was available on the board. At the time, we were kind of stuck between where we wanted to go next. We had just done safety. We didn't want to stretch for Oladapo, even though we pretty much were guaranteed that we're going to take a stab at him. So we kind of looked for who was the best on the available on the board, and me and Tim both looked at each other and we're like, we haven't went D-line at all. Let's go D-line. I really like Wingo. I got a lot of flashes. I hate saying Aaron Donald, but he is that really fast, very, very strong. When you watched him do his drills, he just looks like a really thick, like, mover, you know, like he could, it sounds like he played like some one technique and, you know, 3 tech and that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe in this 4-3, somebody that could take over for Kenny if we decide to let him go in a couple years. That just felt like a good move. I think he had a decent RAS, and he's an LSU guy, so, you know, he's played big competition, so I was cool with that.
Absolutely.
You like that pick a lot, Tim, there? Mickey Wingo?
Yeah, I do. And you know me, I'm Mr. Defense, and, you know, we went pretty heavy on corner and safety in this draft. Snagged a couple linebackers too, but D-line was something that we neglected up until that point. And it just kind of, you know, in combination with the fact that he was one of the best available on the board, plus the positional need, it was just kind of we kind of came to that consensus, just draft him.
I like it. And Carly, if you got anything to add at any point, you just chime in. We're not trying to ignore you. I just don't want to call on you if you don't have anything. I don't want you to feel pressure to say anything. But as far as, is it Mekhi or Mekhi? You guys know?
I say Makai, but I think I've heard it multiple times. Different ones.
And we're not going to get hung up on this show. I just didn't know if someone knew for sure. So, love the pick, man. I've got him in the 54 spot, and you guys got him at 126. Holy cow. Yep. So in 2022 is the 92nd highest graded defensive interior defensive lineman. In 2023, he was 83rd, right? So that brings him down a bit. So why is he so high, right? Not high on the giggle bush. I mean, high on the board. Consensus big board had him in the 80 spot. So it's still kind of, all right, how'd he get up there? The 33rd team absolutely loves him. They've got him in the 39 spot. So defensive lineman out of LSU, Makai Wingo, 7+ RAS, not horrible, right? Obviously wouldn't be first round draft material for Goody probably. The thresholds aren't showing strong, but again, it doesn't matter. You get a little bit later in the draft, right? I love the pick, man. 54 spot. You add a little more depth to the defensive line, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys seen the tweet I put out. Devontae Wyatt looking slim, boys.
Yeah,
I'm thinking they might put him out on the edge a little bit this year. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I think they're thinking about JJ and Igbari, for all intents and purposes, will not be available till.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that.
Could be halfway through the season. Maybe he might miss the whole year. We don't know. So maybe they are. Maybe they had some guys cut some weight and start looking at being a little more flexible and adaptable. I'm assuming we'll get a heavier dose of LVN this year, whether Preston Smith's on the field or not. I think LVN is a guy who could line up on both sides. They may be making some changes. Maybe we might see some guys at edge that we haven't seen before. So be interesting to see.
Eric called it here, man. Guy knows.
Yeah, Wyatt at the slot.
Right before that, he said put Wyatt at Mike too. So he's just gonna be all over the place. I love it. Two openers said that, but I love the pick though, man. Again, that's solid right there, dude. Coach Lynn says Kool-Aid, Bishop, Oladapo, and Jones is one hell of a secondary. That's you talk about competition, Coach. That's going to be a firestorm of competition there. Obviously, he's mentioning the 5th round picker at 169. Oladapo out of Oregon State got a B+ for that. Good pick there according to PFF. Jacob, why did you guys go with Oladapo here, sir?
I mean, you guys know that's our Shavink's draft crush, my draft crush. Everybody that's done mock drafts to see. I don't know realistically where he's going to fall, so it's going to be interesting to see. I've gotten him in 7th rounds, now it's 6 rounds, and now he's going in the 5th. So, if that is getting acknowledged, how high is he going to go? I could see a team like the Packers randomly pulling the trigger on him in like the 3rd round, and people are like, if they haven't been studying along, they're like, who is that? You know what I mean? It's just it's perfect.
Yeah. I was actually kind of surprised he was on the board for us here.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then me and Tim, we pulled up his grades yesterday just to like double check, and we were just shocked. We're like, he's a 90+ grade in like basically everything. So yeah, it was just a no brainer.
Absolutely.
The other one there, Elijah Jones, that was my 3
favorite. Just 1 second. Let me hit on Oladapo just a second here. I've got him in the 66 spot. You guys got him at 169. I've got him in the 66 spot. 68th graded safety in 2022, 13th highest graded safety in 2023. He was sitting at 123 on the consensus big board in January, came in 76th on the 33rd team board, finished an 8+ RAS, and he was a top 30 visit as well as someone who played in the Senior Bowl. So that one right there.
Here's the guy.
That checks a lot of boxes, boys. It does. PFF, 33rd team, consensus big boards, somewhere close to the range as well. Decent RAS. I could see Oladapo as good as anyone in the draft being a Packer top player. So go ahead with Elijah Jones there, Jacob. My bad, man.
No, you're good. I forgot that you were comparing them. I was just going to say that my 3 favorite by far picks in this draft would be Elijah Jones, Cole Bishop, and then Junior Colson. And PFF gave them all basically poop grades. So be that as it may, I thought Elijah Jones was a great pick at the 202 spot. He's been on record as saying that he thinks he's the smartest cornerback in this draft. I think Hafley agreed with that. I've had other scouts that say that he just has a crazy FBI. The measurables are there. I think it was a 4.5 40. He's got like decent height, it's like 6'2" or whatever, big body. And he's played with Jeff Hafley. I mean, what more would you want? opposite, maybe taking a 6-round poke at a guy. I think that's just the perfect scenario right there. And plus, it, like we've talked about, it just immediately bolsters that cornerback room, the secondary. We completely flip our secondary from a weakness to a strength.
Got it. Good stuff, man. How do you feel about Elijah Jones there? Tim, you liking that pick pretty good?
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with Jacob. I mean, we talked about that on the air last night, and I think it's a two-pronged thing. We've got – you figure if we end up drafting this guy, it's a scenario where, Jones as a rookie is going to come into this league with familiarity with his coach, his defensive coordinator. And, Jeff Hafley being in a new city, new team, new look, maybe having one of his old guys or familiar faces. We talked about Zay McDuffie and, some of the guys that have played with him before. It gives you that familiarity. So when you're trying to get your feet under you in a new organization, new city, new season, some of that continuity there can be helpful. So, that's besides the fact that Elijah Jones is one of the more intelligent corners in this draft for sure. It's just kind of tough to really put a beat on where he's going to get drafted, but I would be ecstatic if he was a Packer for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, he's no Ennis Rakestraw Jr. or anything, but
if he changes that name, he'd be all about it, right? It's funny. A lot of guys have gotten lost in the shuffle as I'm building my board here because I've been so busy and everyone kind of recommended some of these late round gems. I don't have Elijah added in yet, so I'm going to put him in tonight. I'm eager to see though, but like you said, I mean, his 2023 grade. Holy cow, dude! I didn't realize it. 86.9, Jacob.
Yeah, man.
That's
and he,
wild.
like I said, his measurables, isn't he like 6'2", 190 something? Ran a 4.5.
Yeah, they've got him 6'2", 184 here on PFF, but I'm sure he's put on weight since then. So, that's phenomenal, man. I'm eager to see where he lands here for sure. What are you giggling about over there?
I'm just laughing because Jake Shavink pops in here just to make a quick chat, and then Bates comes in with "All rise, Jake Shavink is in the house." Like it's the people's court. Oh boy. But anyways, did you want to move on then? Did you say you didn't have him in your rankings? Is that correct?
I don't. You can go ahead and move on. I'm actually trying to work him up a little bit right now, so you just keep on moving, brother.
Cool. All right. So these last three, I mean, honestly, the last 5 picks of this draft might be my favorite, even over the first 5, which is crazy. Jalen Sundell, you guys know that he's one of my biggest draft crushes. I think Shavink is pretty high on him as well. He had played, I want to think that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he ended up actually playing some center too, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a huge bonus about him. Graded out really well. And at this point in the draft, round 6, how could you not take a guy like that grades out that well? He's got great measurables. We've had luck with guys from NDSU. So what do you think about him, Tim?
Yeah, he was the one he had most of his snaps were at left tackle. And we talked about, him possibly going to the right side if we do in fact consider moving Zach Tom into center. But you bring up the point that Sundell apparently has also played a little bit of center himself, means that, he's got some versatility. And I think with not necessarily anyone we draft for that O-line, but for a couple of these picks, having some versatility is going to help. Swing tackles in this offense are a good thing. Guys that could play, guard or center, that's a good thing as you grind through a season. And we've been so inconsistent on that offensive line at times these past few years. So it's good to see guys with versatility. I like this pick for sure.
Definitely.
You can't go wrong with a Bison.
No doubt. I'm still working him up, but let me give you on Jalen Sundell real quick. So I know we worked him up the other night. Let's see where we got him at. Jalen Sundell. Woo, boy, I tell you what. 89. I've got him 89 on my board. PFF 2022, 43rd. 2023, 15th. He was 310th on the consensus big board back in January. Now, he has spiked since then, right? But again, I want to honor the whole January thing. Like, okay, what were people saying at the end of the college football season, right? 310th. The 33rd team has him in the 74 spot, though. Crushed the RAS 9+, and he does meet all of the maximum threshold there for the Packers. So that's someone that could be on the radar. Was he a top 30 visit, fellas? He wasn't, was he?
I don't think so.
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was either. No, it was Donovan Jennings I was thinking of. Okay, cool. All right, good deal. So yeah, that's great. 89 on the board. Holy cow, man. Carry on, sir.
Following by another late draft crush of mine, Dallas Gant, Toledo linebacker. I don't know, Shavink, if you're in the chat, is he somebody that could play possibly the mic? Is he one of those late round guys that you could find that could actually maybe play the mic? I know he had pretty good size and speed to him, and just curious what your thoughts are on that. If I remember correctly, he basically has a poopy pass rush, but everything else was really solid, and the coverage grade was pretty good too. And him and Quinion Mitchell held down that Toledo defense, so it'd be cool to get him in the 7th round. I don't know if that's realistic there. They've got him at the 245 ranking. Do you have him in your grouping, Clayton?
Yes, you're talking about Dallas Gant, correct?
Yes.
Yeesh.
Dallas Gant.
There's a guy.
Yeah, so I've got him at 218 on my board. And the reason being is 68th highest graded linebacker in 2022. That's solid. 2023, 14th, right? But the consensus big board back then, 348th, and the 33rd team has him at 340. So the 33rd team in the consensus big board is what pulled him down. He graded out, did everything he could as far as the PFF grade goes. Got a 0 on my board for the RAS because he scored under a 7, so no bonus points there. To the best of my knowledge, he doesn't max out the thresholds. They haven't visited with him or anything. But again, PFF's what's carrying the load for him there. And I don't think you should just poo-poo that, right? I think that's something to kind of keep an eye on, man.
I think he's more of a will, right?
I'll give you that information right now, actually. I can pull that up on the 33rd team, at least how they see him anyway.
Chad Inc. is coming in with the real hard-hitting analysis here. He says, I don't want anybody with a poopy pass rush. So
I think that's a fair assessment of the situation. Dallas Gant, they've got him listed as a will on the 33rd team, but he is 6'3", 224. So obviously he meets that height threshold that you see with the 49ers and the Jets and their mock linebacker. Again, though, they have him listed more as a will. So if he was listed as a will and like say 6'1", 6 foot even or less, I would be like, okay, he's a true will. You can't roll out someone playing mock if you got that kind of height. You know what I mean? So again, 33rd or the PFF loved him, but the consensus big board and 33rd team did not like him. I got him in the 218 spot, and I think it's important that you to mention them where you got him. That's right there in that ballpark. I think all but one pick that you guys have taken has matched my board within 20 picks. Which is kind of cool. That's a good kind of guesstimation of where people are falling here. Let's see. Jake Shavink said playing mock at 228 will be tougher, but 33 3/4 inch arms could be promising to be a block deconstructor. So there you go. All right, cool. Carry on.
I don't mind the I'm a little bit different than Chad's opinion here. Like I'm willing to give up a little bit in the pass rush department if we got a run stuffer or someone who can play a little coverage and can wrap up. I think we've got some pass rush on this defense already. I think one of the knocks on this D the past couple of years is that run defense, like we talked about, and it's kind of hard to be lights out at both. Having an elite pass rush and then still being able to stop the run, but we just got to get better. We got to get better at hitting those gaps and making those tackles. And I'm all for anyone at the linebacker position that can do that for sure.
And really what it comes down to when you're talking about linebackers blitzing in Jeff Hafley's defense, everyone's got their own opinion. And I'm not here to say that anyone's opinion is wrong. I'm going based off of what I've seen. You're going to coach defense at the college level way different than you do in the pros. And if you'll watch what he had to do with his defense at Boston College, specifically if you go watch him play FSU where Jordan Travis is a big scrambler and run a lot of quarterback draws, things like that, you've got to play it different. So you're going to blitz more. You're going to get more exotic up front with what we call run blitzing, right? There was multiple times in that game he dropped the nose tackle into coverage. And really what he was doing was engaging with what we call that contact sugar where you're contact and then you're dropping back with a spy, what we call punch and spy. I've heard it called that too. So he's dropping back and kind of spying that quarterback for the draw or a scramble off an RPR or what have you, and they were blitzing more guys. When you hear Jeff Hafley talk about the difference between coaching defense and the pros as opposed to college, one of the things he specifies is you don't have as many mobile quarterbacks in the pros with design quarterback runs, right? So you got to play it different. And he always refers to my NFL friends. He's talking about Robert Saleh, right? He's talking about those guys within that old Pete Carroll coaching tree, and it's probably going to be more the defense you run. Robert Saleh liked to bring a lot of four-man rush. That's what he did. And his nickel defense was on the field the majority of the time. Therefore, you don't have a true nose on the field. If you're going to, if you're kind of bringing that nickel approach, you got kind of your pass rushers out there. Although if you've got a well-rounded 1 to 3 tech, that's going to be their role is technically the nose. So that's kind of how I see that. I don't expect Jeff Hafley to come in and run a lot of exotic blitzes. I just don't. That's not what the 49ers do. That's not what the Jets do. I could be wrong. He may come in and just he may come out in a psycho package back to the Dom Capers days. You never know. But I just don't see it personally, just based off the stuff that I've.
Third and short, we're running punt block. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. You got one more pick here, right?
Yep. Last pick is Nebraska safety Omar Brown. I personally love the pick as the last 7th round pick for the Packers here. Round 7, 255. He grades out like unbelievably well for how late he's been projected in the draft. He meets everything that we're looking for size-wise, and then he plays like a beast in that box and has played outside. He's played all around, not afraid to come up and play the run. And I think he's equally grades out well in the zone coverage and coverage. So, yeah,
this might be one of my favorite picks right here in the draft. I think we knocked it out of the park grabbing him last there. He can play in the slot too, I believe. So it's kind of a contingency plan there too at slot. We talked about some depth behind Keyshawn. So obviously loading up with the safeties that we have, we drafted 3 of them. So there's definitely going to be some competition, but also some depth there at other spots during other sets too as well. But I like this pick, Jacob, a lot. Lamar Brown. This isn't the first time we've taken him either. I think we drafted him in one of our other mocks a few weeks ago as well.
And you guys got him in the 255 spot. He's sitting on my board at 252.
Wow.
PFF, I mean, that's within 3 picks. That's wild. PFF in 2022 had him 560th at the safety position. You guys go, man, that's stinky. He jumped all the way to 213th at the safety position in 2023. The consensus big board in January had him at 415. He is not on the 33rd team's board, or wasn't when I did this. He was a top 30 visit, though. So, again, he comes in at 252 on my board there. So, right there in that ballpark. Now, as far as Elijah Jones, I know we were just talking about him. I've got him worked up on my board now, and I haven't checked the threshold stuff. I'll try to do that tonight. He's sitting in the 205 spot on my board. You guys got him at 202. That's wild. So, and again, the big thing there, 564th according to PFF in 2022. He jumped all the way to 21st graded cornerback in 2023. Consensus big board had him at 132 in January. 33rd team has him in the 197 spot. Scored an 8+ on RAS, so got him a little bonus there. Landed in the 205 spot. So there you go. Love it. I think that's a good draft, boys. I think that's solid there, man. I really do. Overall, you dug it, huh, Jacob? You all about it?
Yeah, I did. I really liked it a lot. And part of it was just because of we attacked the positions of need and we kind of pepper bombed them, in case, if one of them doesn't work out, well, maybe, we got another guy that could possibly end up being the starter pretty much at every position other than the running back position. You know what I mean? We double dipped the chip. And then Shavink's talking about here, perhaps Omar Brown in the future can take over in that slot position, like Tim was saying. And that still means that we can have Oladapo on the field with McKinney. Oh, man. If we have Jair, oh, boy. Good Lord. Imagine that secondary, dude.
I'm getting emotional over here talking about it. Elijah Jones, well, the voice is gone. Looking at the threshold requirements for cornerback, thresholds with the Packers here recently has been a 7-second 3-cone or less, 190+ pounds, a 4.6 40 or less, and 5'10" and 7/8 plus in height. Okay. Elijah Jones, as far as meeting those requirements, let me make sure I got the right guy here. It's so small, the font is 9.54 RAS overall, obviously crushed it. 24 years old, meets that criteria. Height, He meets that at 6 foot. I guess that's 6'1" if I'm looking at it correctly. Does that sound right? 6'1" for him? I think I'm reading that right.
Yeah.
Okay. 185 pounds is in the yellow. So a little bit light in the loafers there. He should be 190 plus. So you put 5 pounds on him and he's in the green there. And then, of course, the 3-cone needed to be 7 or under. And his 3-cone was at 7.07. So it's not like it was 7.1, 7.2. So
we can add 5 pounds. We can add 5 pounds, no problem. Butterburgers on me, cheese curds on me. As soon as we draft them, let's go.
Telling you, boys, telling you, 1919 Kitchen and Tap, top level of Lambeau Field. Get that elk stroganoff, some beer cheese soup, cold beer, bro. He'll weigh in tomorrow. He won't feel good, but he'll weigh in. I promise you. So, how are we at the 54-minute mark? Holy cow! Absolutely awesome. I love it. All right, so thanks for sharing that, Tim. That was awesome, dude. Like I said, I think that's a solid draft. I think it was good all the way around. Got a quick video I wanted to play for you guys. Defensive line gets talked about a lot, and you guys addressed it there a little bit later in the draft, right? There's been multiple mocks I've done. We've been able to land a couple of different defensive linemen. Byron Murphy, we got him at 25 in one of the mocks, and we got Johnny Newton at 25 in one of the mocks. They're arguably, I think everyone would agree across the board, they're the 2 best interior defensive linemen in this draft. I haven't seen anyone that would suggest otherwise. It started off like Johnny Newton was at the top of the hill, and now what you've seen is Byron Murphy pass him up. As I've finished my board here and we're coming down the final stretch and ready to put it in horizontal form, I now have Byron Murphy in the 14 spot and Johnny Newton in the 16 spot. So right there in the same tier, but Byron Murphy slightly edging him out. Here's a video from Path to the Draft where you got, I think it's Bucky Brooks, Daniel Jeremiah, and one of my favorite media personalities. How the hell the NFL Network doesn't have him talking more often is just beyond me. It's Scott Pioli, who worked several years. He was really with Bill Belichick for a long, long time. If I remember correctly, his dad worked with Belichick in Cleveland. If you guys haven't read the book, it's called War Room. And it's really Scott Pioli through a writer telling his kind of football life story. Phenomenal behind-the-scenes front office book. You've got to check it out. It's called War Room. But here is him and Daniel Jeremiah giving their opinion of Byron Murphy out of Texas. And the reason I'm playing this, guys, is because I think there's a legit shot when we pick at 25. If Byron Murphy's on the board, I would be all about them taking him because that could potentially be your defensive tackle of the future if you do move on from Kenny Clark. But let's check it out real quick. Again, former GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, former front office executive with Atlanta, kind of an assistant GM to Dimitroff down there. Also worked in the building with Bill Belichick, Ernie Adams, all those guys for years on years. These are phenomenal football minds. Daniel Jeremiah, former scout. Bucky Brooks, former scout. These dudes have been in the draft room. That's why I listen to them.
Like Byron Murphy should command the conversation at that position.
Well, guys, when I look at Byron Murphy, I see a guy who's quick, he's explosive, he's disruptive, and really gets upfield in a one-gap situation as well as anybody. When I say he's explosive, I think he's explosive with both his feet and...
When he said one-gap situation, the Packers are switching to more one-gap now with the 4-3.
And his hands. And he has a good feeling, as we see here, he has a really good feeling for his opponent's pressure. So he knows when to disengage from blocks, when to move on, to get off of a block. Now, here's the big thing about him. He's a guy who's 6'1", about a 297, and has shorter arms, 32 3/8. So some of that problem that's going to show up is if he doesn't do that disengage and uses his explosiveness, he's going to have a problem getting engulfed. But I look back at a couple of other players, and I love undersized defensive linemen with high motors like this guy. And I'm not saying this is the next Grady Jarrett or Aaron Donald, but he has some of the similar physical traits to those guys to be able to play that position inside, which is generally difficult for his type of stature.
Yeah. Hey, Rhett, hold on 1 second here. I want to add something. Scott, if you ask me right now today, as we're a little over a week away, who is a surprise top 10 pick? Like, who's going to be the 8th pick in the draft that we didn't see coming? It is Byron Murphy. That is a name you hear a lot calling around the league. He is the best player at his position. I would not sleep on him going much higher than we all think.
Yeah, we've all talked about a potential defensive player to the Falcons at 8, but it was Dallas Turner. Could be interesting if Byron Murphy ends up being that guy. Okay, DJ, I'm coming back to you.
I'm with you.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just going to say real quick. Yeah, everyone talked so much about T'Vondre Sweat earlier in this draft out of Texas. I really think the best defensive lineman coming out of Texas is Murphy.
Yeah.
We had that conversation earlier in the draft here. You guys remember you get a little nervous when you got two guys that play beside each other in a defense, right? Because it's like which one drew the attention way and made the other guy look a little better. That's kind of the talk with Michael Thomas Jr. and who's the other receiver? It escapes me right now from LSU, Malik Neighbors. It's like, okay, was Brian Thomas Jr. pulling attention away from Malik Neighbors, or was Malik Neighbors pulling more attention away from Brian Thomas Jr.? They both excelled this year, having crazy numbers. But when you talk about Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat, I got T'Vondre Sweat in the 34 spot, and I've got, like I said, Byron Murphy is now in the 14 spot. So just wanted to play that quick clip because you don't hear from these guys all around, like all year long. When I say these guys, like people like Scott Pioli and Daniel Jeremiah, you don't hear – this is their wheelhouse. This is when lower the ego, zip it, and listen what they got to say because they've been there. I love Scott Pioli needs to be on TV every single day of the year. That dude is just such a humble guy. Have y'all watched The Dynasty yet, by chance?
No.
Bro, there's a clip in The Dynasty. You remember the 28-3 comeback with the Patriots and the Falcons?
Mm-hmm.
That year?
Super Bowl. Yep.
So it's just created so many quality memes, right? But he was the assistant GM for Dimitroff when that happened in Atlanta. He said when they went up to 28-3, and he's talking about this in the Dynasty, he's been on the other side with Belichick for years, right? He said he's sitting up there in the owner's box, and they're high-fiving, they're going crazy and everything, and he's just kind of sitting there all stone-faced, and somebody grabbed him by the shoulder and said, Scott, you got to enjoy this. He said he snapped around. He said, you don't understand. He said, that guy number 12 over there talking about Tom Brady, I'm getting goosebumps because it was just absolutely awesome. He said, that's Freddie effing Krueger. He's going to come back. He's going to get some of us. I just hope he doesn't get us all. And they end up coming back and winning from a 28-3 deficit. Just phenomenal. The dude is awesome. He's absolutely awesome. A buddy of mine, Vince, played for the Patriots, undrafted free agent, and they picked him up. And when Scott Pioli took the job in Kansas City, he actually took Vince with him up there. So that's kind of – I was asking him about Scott Pioli. He's like, bro, you're not going to find a more phenomenal person. He said he gave me every chance possible to make that team. I just sucked. That's what he said. You didn't suck, dude. You're better than 90% of the people playing football. It's just that difficult.
I was bartending at a bar called Double Dogs in West End, Nashville, when that game happened, and half the bar was Atlanta and half the bar were guys from Boston. And the guys from Boston were all just so quiet and dead, and the guys from Atlanta are going nuts. And I knew as soon as I saw them make the comeback, I'm like, dude, this is going to be so bad. And when they started coming back and when they won, we couldn't even control them. The Boston guys were on the tables throwing beers at the Atlanta people. Like we were just like, it was like Roadhouse. It was like a real life Roadhouse. We were just like, oh my God.
What a wicked, awesome comeback.
It was the worst night of my life.
I love the nickname they give them too. And they talk about it all the time. What's his name? Pat McAfee talks about it all the time. They call them massholes, is what they call them. They're the worst. Like, he talked about how Vinatieri, when he came back to New England for the first time when he was playing for the coach, Pat was his holder. And he said they came out the tunnel the first time, and everybody was all cheering for Vinatieri. Like, thank you for everything you've done. Vinatieri, obviously, all the game-winning kicks and the snow and everything. He said, when we came out that tunnel the second time for the kickoff, bro, you'd have thought they hated the guy. It was just, they were F-bombing him. And, it's like, all right, now the home field advantage kicks in, right? Which, by the way, pretty cool. I know people like to dog on Pat McAfee. He's not a serious, commentator. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a goofball and this and that, bimbo. You guys see who's going to be on his Draft Spectacular co-hosting? Bill Belichick.
No way.
Bill Belichick is co-hosting the Draft Spectacular with Pat McAfee this year. So
yes,
I hope you guys tune into us, but I don't blame you if you're tuning into that one. That's going to be solid. The GOAT.
Now we'll get him on.
Yeah, set the DVR for McAfee. You can watch us.
I really think Bill Belichick will give you better draft insight than us. Come on, guys. What are we talking about
Forget about it.
Anyway, people like Clayton, you suck at promotion. I know. Believe me, I know. Jacob, you got anything else, bub?
No, we can go over maybe Paul Brettle's article tomorrow night and maybe some late round guys that we could highlight.
Definitely. There was a ton of stuff we couldn't get to, but I'm glad we went over your mock draft because, again, it's important to kind of understand we traded back, we've traded up, we've stayed put, we stuck, stick and pick, all that. It's important to get all that information in before the draft gets here. Another thing we're going to do tomorrow night, too, our buddy Deadfish sent me an email where he broke down all of the draft picks, the Packers draft picks from the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I think it is, all the way back to 2016. So however many that is. And what he did was on one side of the draft pick, he put where the consensus big board had them, and on the other side where we took them at. And it is really cool to see. According to the consensus big board, the Packers have reached a lot, and they've hit on a lot too, obviously. So
that's fun. I want to check that out.
Yeah, it's put together really well. So shout out to Deadfish again, member of the Patreon group over there, the PTA Posse. Just a phenomenal listener, been with us since day one. So we appreciate him sending that in.
About the 2 Alabama quarterbacks.
What's that?
So that's Deadfish right there. He was talking about when you were comparing when you have 2 good players right next to each other and on the same team, which one's really great. He was talking about which one of the 2 Alabama cornerbacks are really that good. Or are they both?
Kool-Aid and
Arnold.
Terry and Arnold. Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't Deadfish. I apologize.
Deadfish, I don't like your comment.
No, it's a good comment, but it's funny because you know why I called him Deadfish? Because the guy in the email, and I know he's been in here several times, is holding a fish. So I just thought that's Deadfish. He's holding the dead fish. No, but I need to figure out who it is because everybody's email is different. As soon as you put Deadfish up, I'm like, that's not the same guy. That's not the one I was thinking of. I'm pretty sure it's not. Deadfish is confirm for us, Deadfish. That wasn't you that sent me the email, correct? Eric Sutherland. Deadfish catches his fish at Long John Silver. Oh, it was me. All right, there you go. All right.
It was Deadfish. We're the Deadfish.
I don't know what's going on right now. Deadfish Square. Yeah. Prince sums it up. Says, yeah, I think we're done here. All right, everybody have a good night. Appreciate y'all hanging out.
For those of you listening on the pod,
there you go. Thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.